If your heart's pounding, good. That's the drum roll before courage steps on stage. Fear is not a verdict. It's a voltage. You can wire that current to a light bulb or a lightning strike. Most folks wait for calm to arrive, as if bravery is a train that must pull into the station on schedule. But you and I know better. In the real world, action whistles first and calm climbs aboard later. The moment you move, even a little anxiety stops being fog and turns into wind in your sails. Today, you learn to lean into that wind. Start by giving fear a respectful nod, not a throne. When anxiety rises, don't try to wrestle it into silence. Acknowledge it plainly. Say, I feel anxious, and that means my body is revving for effort. That one sentence takes fear off the judge's bench and puts it in the engine room. You aren't broken. You're charged. The difference between panic and power is purpose. Ask yourself, what exactly am I trying to protect? Often, fear is just your love of something valuable. Your reputation, your family, your future. Ringing the bell. Let that ring become your reminder that you care, and caring is fuel. Next, shrink the battlefield. Anxiety thrives in the wide open plains of everything. Bring it down to the next right step you can do before the minute hand moves twice. Not the entire speech, just the first sentence. Not the 5K, just the first shoelace. Not the conversation, just the opening line. When you shrink the step, you shrink the fear, and momentum, like a friendly farm dog, comes running. Do the tiniest faithful thing and let it unlock the next. The human heart is odd that way. It only shows you the next patch of road once you're standing on this one. Here's a sturdy trick you can use anywhere. Pair your fear with your values using the word, because I'm calling the client even though I'm nervous because I keep my promises. I'm speaking up in the meeting because honesty beats regret. That because is a hinge that swings the door open. It aligns your shaking hands with your steady principles. People don't overcome fear with willpower alone. They overcome it with identity. You are not merely someone who feels afraid. You are someone who tells the truth, finishes what you start, and shows up when it counts. Let that be your North Star. Give yourself a countdown and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. The countdown cuts the conversation in your head and flips you from thinking to doing. You can use it to step onto the stage, press send, knock on the door, or simply rise from the chair. No drum solo, no pep talk, just a clean cut from doubt to deed. If your mind starts another debate, smile and repeat the count. You're training a reflex, not staging a courtroom argument. You don't need a unanimous jury to act. You only need a clear cue. Put your breath to work like a craftsman's tool. Inhale through the nose, slow and deep, as if you're smelling fresh bread. Exhale longer than you inhale, as if you're fogging a window. Long exhales tell your nervous system, we're safe enough to proceed. Don't wait to feel fearless. Breathe, then begin. You can swing a hammer with trembling hands if you keep your rhythm. Courage isn't the absence of tremble. It's the decision to strike anyway, steadying on the second and third blows. Practice daily discomfort reps. Choose one small thing each day that makes you squirm and do it on purpose. Ask for the discount. Take the cold shower. Share the draft before it's perfect. Every rep teaches your mind a priceless lesson. I can carry the feeling and still do the deed. You are not training to feel different before you act. You're training to act differently while you feel. Like a farmer who works in all weather, you stop waiting for sunny skies and start trusting your tools. Trade catastrophes for contingencies. Your mind says, "What if it all goes wrong?" You answer, "If it does, here's how I'll handle it." Write it down. And if, then plan so simple you could follow it under pressure. If I freeze, then I'll read the first line on my card. If my voice shakes, then I'll slow my exhale and keep talking. If they say no, then I'll ask what would turn it into a yes. Anxiety loses its teeth when you've already rehearsed how you'll bite back. You're not at the mercy of surprises if you've preloaded your responses. Remember that excitement and anxiety wear the same coat in your body. The pounding heart, the quick breath, the buzz in your fingertips. Call it excitement and you reclaim the wheel. Whisper, "I'm excited," just before you act. It's not a lie. It's a choice of label. An actor sees stage lights and says, "Showtime." An athlete hears the crowd and says, "Let's play." You can look at the flutter in your chest and say, "Fuel." That one word can turn a stall into a start. Anchor your action to something larger than yourself. When fear fixates on your image, widen the lens. Think of the people who benefit when you step forward, your team, your children, your customers, your community. Responsibility is a stronger rope than ego. When your goal is to be useful, not impressive, you get lighter on your feet. Folks will forgive the shaky voice if the message helps. They won't even notice the fumble if the ball moves downfield. Aim to serve and your nerves will have less room to roam. And here's a plain, old-fashioned truth. Begin before you are ready. Readiness is mostly a feeling, and feelings show up late to hard work. Farmers plant while the air is still chilly. Carpenters start with rough cuts. Singers warm up off-key. You honor your fear by moving with it, not by waiting it out. Tell yourself, do it afraid. And then do it small, do it now, and let the second step meet you halfway. There's a quiet kind of glory in that first imperfect inch forward. You earn your confidence 1 inch at a time. So today, you'll treat fear like fire. Dangerous in the wild, powerful on the hearth. You'll put it to work. You'll label it as energy, shrink the step, tether it to your values, count down and go. Breathe with intention, practice discomfort reps, plan your contingencies, rename your arousal as excitement, aim to serve, and begin before you feel like a hero. That's not theory. That's a day's work. Tomorrow, we'll stack sturdier timbers on this foundation and build habits that carry you when the winds pick up. For now, look at that task you've been dodging. Give yourself 5 counts and step. The drum roll has already begun. You've stepped, and that first inch forward changed the weather inside you. Now the real craft begins. Keeping your boots moving when the wind shifts and your mind starts telling campfire stories about monsters just beyond the treeline. Fear is chatty, and it loves to talk you out of your own promise. So build a simple bridge you can cross every time. A pre-action ritual no longer than 60 seconds. Stand tall, feet planted, shoulders back as if you're buttoning a good coat. Inhale slow, exhale slower. Picture only the first 20 seconds of what you're about to do, not the finish line. Whisper your hinge phrase, because to tie your nerves to your values. Then count down from 5 and break the tape with a tiny, undeniable deed. Click the call button, step onto the hallway, say the first sentence. That's your bridge. Cross it again and again until your body knows the way home without directions. Make fear measurable. Vague dread grows in the fog. It shrinks under a lamplight. Keep a courage ledger, nothing fancy, a pocket card or a note on your phone, and give yourself 3 checkboxes for the day. Did something that made me uncomfortable. Finished something I've been delaying. Reflected without judging. The boxes don't ask you to be magnificent. They ask you to be faithful. You are training your eyes to see progress, not perfection, because the mind tends to forget what you accomplished and remember what you avoided. At week's end, look back and nod to yourself like a foreman surveying steady work. Momentum loves witnesses. Build a staircase you can climb with your breath still steady. Write 10 rungs from easiest to hardest for the very fear that's been barking at your doorstep. If public speaking is the hound, rung 1 might be reading a paragraph aloud to yourself. Rung 2, sharing a voice note with a friend. Rung 3, asking a question in a small meeting. Rung 4, a 2-minute update, and so on up to the big room and bright lights. You don't leap to rung 10. You earn it with 9 smaller wins. Each rung is a handshake with your nervous system saying, "See? We can do this." If a rung wobbles, don't scold yourself. Tighten the bolts by repeating the previous step until the boards feel solid. Then climb again. In the heat of the moment, remember the 90-second wave. Emotions surge like a summer squall. If you can surf the first minute and a half with steady breath and anchored purpose, the water calms enough to steer. When you feel your pulse pick up and your thoughts stampede, picture a wave clock in your mind. Tell yourself, ride it, don't wrestle it. Count your exhales. Let each one be a small or stroke. By the time you hit 90 seconds, the storm has usually spent its worst, and you are still there, upright, hand on the tiller. Language is a lever. Swap "I can't" for "I can learn." I'm not ready for "I'm getting ready." I must for "I choose." Those tiny edits move mountains inside the mind because they return choice to your hands. Anxiety hates choices made on purpose. It prefers you drifting. When you state your choice, even if your voice trembles, you make a promise to yourself in plain words. I choose to make the call because I keep my word. That sentence lands like a stake in the ground. Fear can blow, rain can fall, but the stake reminds you where you stand. Aim for useful, not flawless. Perfection is a velvet rope that keeps you outside the room where progress happens. Build a minimum viable action, the smallest version that still helps someone, including future you. Send the draft, even if it's rough around the edges, with a line that says, "This is a first pass. I welcome your notes." Start the workout with 2 minutes. Open the budget and change 1 number. You don't need the whole staircase to climb. You only need the next step to rise. Folks respect a working engine more than a polished hood that never leaves the driveway. After you act, run a 3-minute after-action reflection. Ask yourself, what went better than I feared? Where did I wobble? What will I try differently next time? Write 1 sentence for each. Keep it factual and kind, like a coach reviewing game film. The goal is not to relive your awkwardness. It's to harvest the lesson while the field is still warm. This short review turns experience into improvement and keeps fear from rewriting the story as failure. Shape your surroundings to nudge your courage. Create a courage corner, a small space where action feels inevitable. Keep a timer, a glass of water, a note card with your hinge phrases, and one visible token that reminds you why you care. A photo, a note, a symbol of service. Clear away clutter like a farmer clearing stones from a field. You'll make the work easier. When you sit in that spot, the uniform puts itself on and the drumbeat begins. Our grandparents understood that workbenches and aprons train the hands and the heart. Use that wisdom. Give your worry a schedule so it doesn't steal every hour. Choose a short window late in the day. 7 minutes will do, and tell your mind, we'll fret then. Now we work. When worries pop up at noon, jot them on a 5 p.m. list and return to the task. Paradoxically, by honoring worry with a time slot, you keep it from running the house. And when 5 o'clock arrives, you'll find most entries have lost their appetite. If one still gnaws, convert it into a contingency. If X happens, then I'll do Y. You are no longer a prisoner of what if. You've become the steward of if and then. Invite a trustworthy companion into your project. Share your staircase and your daily checkboxes with a friend who cheers responsibility over drama. Make a simple pact. Send each other a done message at day's end with one sentence about the action you took despite discomfort. No sermons, no scolding, just steady witness. We are social creatures. A good partner lifts the bar by standing beside it. And if you stumble, you'll have someone to remind you of the ground you've already gained. Practice hearing no and living to tell the tale. Ask for small, reasonable things you can afford to lose, a discount, an earlier slot, feedback from a busy person. Your aim isn't to be pushy. It's to desensitize your nerves to rejection's sting. Count the no's like a fisherman counts early casts, not as defeats but as the cost of catching something worthwhile. When a yes arrives, it will feel less like luck and more like arithmetic. Enough attempts produce results. Keep your body on your side. Walk at a purposeful pace before you act. It cues the brain that you're headed somewhere that matters. Relax your jaw, lower your shoulders, and soften your gaze. Tension in the body whispers danger to the mind, and you can answer with small, physical kindness. A glass of water, a stretch, a brief step into fresh air. Simple things, but they move your inner weather. And remember the basics that sturdy folks have always known. Decent sleep, real food, regular sweat. You don't need perfection here either. Just steady respect for the machine you're driving. When you stumble, and you will, because this is living, not staging, practice immediate, gentle course correction. Talk to yourself as you would to a hardworking friend. You tried. Good. Now try again, a little wiser. Shame inflames fear and freezes action. Compassion cools the heat and returns you to motion. The quickest way back on the horse is to keep the saddle nearby. Your pre-action ritual, your next rung, your 3-minute review. Begin again without ceremony. The road doesn't keep score. It simply waits for your footsteps. Finally, widen your reason. When anxiety narrows your world to your image and your outcome, remind yourself who benefits from your courage. Picture a customer relieved, a child inspired, a teammate strengthened, a future version of you, grateful and calm. Purpose draws the poison from fear. You're not performing for applause. You're delivering a needed parcel. If your hands shake while you pass it along, well, the parcel still arrives, and that matters more than the tremble. Today, add one rung to your staircase and climb it. Use your 60-second bridge, check a box in your ledger, surf a 90-second wave, and send your done message before the day hangs up its hat. These are not heroic acts in the eyes of the world, but they are the exact bricks that pave the quiet road to boldness. Keep laying them one by one, and you will look back from a higher hill, surprised by how far a steady heart can walk. Tomorrow will fit stronger joints into the structure, tools for decision, focus, and follow through, so the house of your courage stands straight when life leans on it. Decision is the blade that cuts fear's knot. Keep it sharp, and even thick rope yields. Anxiety fattens on indecision. It withers when you pick a direction and put one boot in front of the other. So let's craft a simple, repeatable way to decide, focus, and follow through. No drama, no oratory, just honest tools you can carry in your pocket like a pocket knife that always opens. Start each choice with two plain questions. What matters most here? And what single action moves that forward in the next 10 minutes? Set a 1-minute sand timer in your mind. When it empties, you choose. Not because the choice is perfect, but because progress beats paralysis. Courage is not a committee vote. It's a signature. Once you've chosen, trust the rule of 51%. If your information tilts even a hair past halfway, act. Let reality be your teacher and course correct as you go. Folks stuck in the bleachers wait for 99% certainty and miss the game. The field belongs to those who learn mid-stride. Think of your actions as drafts, not verdicts. Drafts are forgiving. They invite edits. Decisions made on paper feet can still run. Now give your day rails to run on. Build focus fences, small, sturdy boundaries that keep your attention in the pasture where it can graze productively. Put your phone in another room when you do your deep work. Close extra tabs like a careful shopkeeper turning the lights off in aisles no one needs. Work in 25-minute sprints with a 5-minute breath, simple, old-fashioned intervals that teach your mind rhythm. Start each sprint with a verb, not a paragraph. Dial, outline, lift, proof, ask. A verb is a hand on your back. If you feel your mind wander, use the kindest correction in the world. Name it, note it, nudge it. Worry, noted. Back to the line, friend. Decide quickly, adjust calmly. Use a pocket OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, and run it in short laps. Observe, what's true right now? Orient, which value is steering? Decide, what's the next small move? Act, do it before your doubt laces its shoes. Then loop again. Pilots don't defeat turbulence with lectures. They correct gently and repeatedly. You can too. A dozen modest corrections land more planes than one grand maneuver. Make your promises portable. Write when, then plans you can carry into any room. When my heart spikes, Then I'll lengthen my exhale for 3 breaths and read my first line. When I feel the urge to delay, then I'll start a 2-minute timer and begin the smallest useful piece. When I complete a piece, then I'll write 1 sentence describing the very next step before I close the file. These tiny rules are like railroad switches. Flip them and the train changes tracks without fanfare. Tame avoidance with carpentry, not criticism. Put speed bumps in front of the distractions that trip you. Log out of tempting sites. Put the remote on a high shelf. Set your phone to grayscale so the candy colors stop shouting. Build ramps toward the work. Lay out tools the night before. Open the document to the paragraph you'll write. Place the dumbbell where your hand will find it at dawn. Old-timers kept the axe by the woodpile. They didn't store it in the attic and wonder why no one chopped. Build your start line scripts. Anxiety loves blank air. Fill it with opening sentences you can say on autopilot. Thank you for taking the time. My aim is to be useful, so I'll be brief. Here's the problem as I see it, and here's the smallest next step I recommend. I'm nervous because I care, and I'll start anyway with the key point. Practice these lines under your breath while walking, doing dishes, or waiting for the kettle. The first word's out by you the next 10 seconds, and those 10 seconds are often the whole battle. And when you finish, clip the tail. Leave a breadcrumb for tomorrow's courage. Write 1 line at the top of your file. Next, add the example about the Tuesday meeting. Place the tool you'll need on the desk center. Set a reminder that pings with a verb. This neat little habit cuts the friction of re-entry. Pros keep the runway clear for the next takeoff while the engines are still warm. Carry an error budget. Give yourself permission to make a few honest mistakes today. 3 small blunders, 5 stumbles, whatever number sets you free to move. You're not buying recklessness. You're buying motion. When you bump into your limits, pay from the budget, learn, and keep going. Fear shrieks that 1 misstep ruins the march. Nonsense. Marchers misstep and still reach towns before sundown. If you spill the paint, you don't cancel the house. You wipe the floor and finish the wall. Remember the courage tax and the courage dividend. The tax is the upfront discomfort you pay to act now. Sweaty palms, a shaky voice, the awkward ask. Pay it and you earn the dividend, relief, learning, progress that compounds. Put off the tax and interest accumulates. Worry grows. Opportunities shrink. Self-trust thins. Pay small taxes daily and you'll find yourself living on healthy returns. That's not poetry. It's arithmetic of the heart. When the fear is social, the kind that makes your ears burn and your words tangle. Relax your posture the way a seasoned neighbor leans on a fence. Soften your gaze, plant your feet, and speak to 1 pair of eyes as if you were helping a friend across a creek. The spotlight in your mind is always brighter than the one in the room. Most folks are kindly preoccupied with their own weather. Let your aim be service, not spectacle. People forgive a waiver when the message helps them get home. Keep a 3-block day. A morning block for your most meaningful work, a midday block for maintenance and messages, an afternoon block for outreach and learning. Schedule the hard thing when your will is fresh, and guard that block like a farmer guards seed. If life kicks your fence flat, salvage 1 plank, 15 protected minutes, and you still keep your word to the day. A day that keeps one promise keeps its dignity. Stack your actions by meaning and mild discomfort. Choose the next step that matters and makes you flinch just a little. Not terror, tingle. That tingle is turning fear into fuel. If nothing tingles, you might be polishing brass while the ship needs a course correction. If everything terrifies, you're staring at the horizon instead of the deck. Adjust the dial until the needle hums. If your mind insists on painting disasters, convert the picture into logistics. If they decline my proposal, then I'll ask for one thing I could improve and schedule a follow-up 2 weeks out. If my voice shakes, then I'll slow my exhale and read the line I prepared. If I forget a point, then I'll ask permission to circle back at the end. Contingencies make confidence practical. You don't need to predict the future if you can prepare for it. Practice the two-door test when you're stuck between options that both look decent. Door A? Door B? Ask, which choice serves my deeper value and teaches me more right now? Then pick and pass through without looking back over your shoulder like a driver who's already taken the exit. Regret is a pothole you don't need to test twice. If the road buckles, rear out. Pride takes the prettiest path. Courage takes the learning path. Mind your inputs. The nervous system is a good listener. Feed it signals that steady the hand. Morning sunlight on your face if you can get it. Honest food. A glass of water before the coffee. A short walk after the meal. Keep your body as a willing partner, not a mule you only notice when it balks. The old wisdom holds. Chop wood, carry water, say grace. Steady bodies sponsor brave deeds. Above all, keep your word to yourself. Do the small thing you said you'd do when you said you'd do it, especially when no one is watching. Every kept promise lays a brick in the road that carries you over tomorrow's doubts. Every broken promise is a loose stone that turns an ankle. If you do slip, and you will reset the promise smaller and sooner. I'll make one call before lunch. Keep it. Then make the second because the first built a bridge. Today, choose with your blade, fence your focus, and finish with a clipped tail. Speak your start line, run your small loops, and let your courage budget fund a few honest wobbles. Pay the tax, pocket the dividend, and walk on. Tomorrow will add strength to your stride. How to face bigger storms, handle criticism without shrinking, and turn setbacks into sturdier timber. So your courage doesn't just act once, it endures. When the storm rolls in, and it will, you don't need a bigger chest, you need better rigging. Lightning of criticism, crosswinds of doubt, sideways rain of bad luck. These are not omens to turn back, they're weather to work in. Courage that endures isn't loud, it's learned. You learn to square your shoulders to the wind, to shorten the sail, to steer by a steady star. Start with this quiet rule. Take the blow, then take the lesson. Shock first, schooling second. A deep breath gives the mind a dry towel. With it, you can wipe the lens and see what really happened. Ask 3 questions before you answer anyone, including yourself. What is true here? What part is useful? What will I do next? The storm wants you spinning. These questions plant your feet. Criticism sounds louder than applause because it borrows the megaphone of your own fear. So fit every critique through a simple sieve. First, the source. Is this from someone who stands near the work and bears some of its weight, or a passerby shouting from the sidewalk? Second, the substance. Can you name the specific behavior or outcome they're pointing to, or is it just smoke and thunder? Third, the spirit. Does this person want the work better or just you smaller? Keep feedback from those who lift the beam. Let the rest drift downriver. And when a keeper arrives, sometimes wrapped in a rough voice, treat it like grain, not gravel. Strip away the chaff of tone and save the kernel of truth. A carpenter doesn't argue with the level. He reads it and adjusts the shelf. Meet critique with the 3 T's: thanks, target, tweak. Thanks, short, sincere. I appreciate you pointing that out. Target, pin down the exact thing. You're saying the opening is unclear and the timing drags? Tweak, state one change you'll make. I'll tighten the first 2 minutes and add a concrete example. You don't have to swallow every suggestion. You do need to show you're a good steward. A steady thank you disarms the heat. A clear target prevents vague scrambling. And a named tweak turns sting into step. When you've stumbled in public, and if you keep moving, someday you will practice a short confession and a long correction. Confession. Name the miss without excuses. I overpromised and underdelivered. Correction. Name what will change and by when. I will send the revised plan by Thursday noon and build in a buffer for review. Ask if anything else needs attention. Then get back to the work like a farmer who apologizes for the fence gap and starts hammering fresh rails. Folks forgive quickly when they see nails going in. Not every storm is outside. Sometimes the sky breaks inside your chest. You miss the mark, your plan misfires, your idea lands with a thud. Here's your recovery protocol: respire, review, recommit. Respire, 2 minutes of deliberate exhale, as if you're fogging a cold window. This quiets the inner thunder. Review, walk through the play like a coach with a pencil, not a prosecutor with a finger. What was under your control? What was merely influence? What was straight up weather? Mark one improvement you'll test. Recommit, choose a specific near-term action that restores momentum, even if it's small. A barn doesn't rebuild in a day, but you can raise one wall before sundown. Carry an error budget like a craftsman carries chalk. Give yourself allowance for honest mistakes this week. 5 small blunders you're willing to learn from. Spend them deliberately. This frees your hands to act without clenching. Fear tells you a single slip is a verdict. Experience shows its tuition. Pay the fee, collect the lesson, move along. What bankrupts us is not the fee. It's hiding the bill until the interest chokes our courage. Widen your margin of safety the way our grandparents did with sensible redundancies. Arrive with an extra copy, an extra battery, an extra example. Write a plan B you can deploy in 30 seconds and a plan Z that keeps you useful if the project collapses. If the slides die, speak from your outline. If the supplier delays, have a smaller version you can ship. If the meeting derails, name the new aim. Preparedness is not paranoia. It's courtesy to your future self and to the people counting on you. Anxiety shrinks when it sees you've packed spare rope. Practice storm drills. Pick one fear that makes your hands cold. Hostile questions, technical glitches, a blank mind, and rehearse the worst for 5 minutes in a safe room. Invite a trusted friend to lob tough questions. Pull the plug on your own equipment and keep talking. Stand silent for 10 seconds and recover with a written prompt. Each drill teaches your nervous system that the dragon has rubber teeth. When reality tries to bite, your hands already know the move. Remember the 3 kinds of critics and set your replies accordingly. There's the caring partner who wants the work better. Thank them, probe, and apply. There's the casual passerby who tosses opinions like breadcrumbs. Nod politely, take only what aligns with your aim, and don't chase them down the street. And there's the chronic complainer whose hobby is diminishing others. Limit exposure, refuse the bait, and let your results do the arguing. Don't waste your breath debating weather vanes. Point your sail and go. Setbacks travel with stories. Choose the one you'll live in. You could pick the story of shame. I'm not cut out for this. But that tale ends in a locked shed. Pick the story of stewardship. I'm the kind of person who learns in public and cleans my mess. That story doesn't excuse mistakes. It composts them. It turns yesterday's scraps into tomorrow's soil. When you speak that story aloud, especially after a knock, you remind your hands why they keep building. Give rumination a job or it will squat in your workshop. Put your worries onto a single page titled Concerns and Contingencies. For each line of worry, write an if, then plan and assign a date to review. If the client pushes back, then I'll propose 2 options and ask which serves best. If I miss the deadline, then I'll notify early and offer a tangible make good. Close the page and return to your task. You haven't banished the storm. You've put gutters on the roof. Sometimes the criticism you fear most is accurate. It points to a gap in skill, not just a bad day. Good. That's a fixable problem. Draw a skill ladder. Rung 1, the most basic move. Rung 10, the performance you admire. Book a practice block like an appointment with someone you respect. 5 days of 20 minutes beats 1 wild Saturday of trying to leap to rung 8. Save artifacts of progress, clips, drafts, reps, so your eyes can witness that skill is rising even when your feelings lag behind. Confidence built on evidence doesn't blow away. When the storm is mean, not just sharp, but unkind, guard your spirit with boundaries that fit like a raincoat. Don't linger in rooms that poison your effort. Put distance between your worth and your output by naming 3 qualities that hold steady even on a bad day. Integrity, effort, teachability. If someone attacks your person, step out or shut it down. I welcome feedback on the work. I won't continue if we go after each other. That line isn't prickly. It's principled. You're not a porcupine. You're a person with a job to do. Keep your community close. Courage grows best in good company. Build a tiny council. A mentor who has walked farther. A peer who shares your road. A junior you encourage because teaching steadies your own hands. Meet briefly and regularly. Share what you're attempting, what went sideways, and the next test you'll run. Trade notes without drama. Praise effort over polish. And commit to one action before you part. A town builds barns in a day because neighbors bring hammers. Bring yours and borrow theirs. Use the pilot scan under pressure. Eyes move gently through the gauges. Purpose, people, plan, pace. Purpose, are we still serving the aim that matters? People, who needs clarity or calm right now? Plan, what's still the next best step? Pace, do we need to slow the exhale or step on the gas? Pilots don't glue their eyes to a single dial. They keep scanning and correcting. This quiet motion prevents tunnel vision when thunder drums. Keep a storm ledger next to your courage ledger. Jot the squalls you endured and the thing you learned. Hostile question at minute 12. Paused, repeated the question, answered with an example. Delivery delay, called early, reset expectation, added a small free upgrade. These lines become your personal farmer's almanac. When new clouds gather, you won't rely on mood. You'll rely on memory of what works. Mind your inputs more fiercely when the weather turns. Pull back from noisy rooms, gossip loops, and doom scrolls that spike your nerves without improving your choices. Trade 10 minutes of anxious scanning for 10 minutes of purposeful preparation. Step outside and let plain daylight remind you that the world is bigger than a single meeting, a single comment, a single day. Steady bodies sponsor brave deeds. Eat like someone who has work to do. Sleep like someone who wants to keep doing it. Move like a person who intends to show up tomorrow. And because courage is not all grit and grind, make room for a kind laugh. Humor doesn't minimize the work. It lightens the beam while you lift. A wry line, a shared smile, a moment that says, "We're all human here," can loosen the knot in your chest and return the room to cooperative weather. Cheerfulness is an old tool, simple and strong. Use it without apology. When it's time to decide whether to persist or pivot, try the barn test. Ask, is the foundation sound, purpose still worthy, people still served? If yes, fix the joists and keep building. If the foundation is cracked, purpose stale, service thin, don't add more wood to a sinking frame. Salvage what's good. Sketch a new foundation and carry your lumber to higher ground. Stubbornness worships sunk costs. Courage honors the truth and moves. Finally, speak to yourself as a steward speaks to a team at dusk. Clear, firm, hopeful. We met weather. We set our feet. We learned. We'll try again in the morning. Tie down your tools. Write one crisp note for tomorrow's start, and let the day end. A field needs rest to grow, so do you. What matters is not that the storm came, but that you kept your hands knowing and your heart willing. Today, when wind rises, breathe once like you mean it, turn your face to the rain and work your protocol. Sieve the critique, drill the weak spot, run the pilot scan, set a small correction and carry on. You are not trying to look unruffled. You are trying to remain useful. And you will. Next, we'll take this steadiness and turn it into reach. How to ask boldly, build alliances, and step into rooms that once felt out of your league. So your courage doesn't just hold the line. It opens doors. You've steadied your hands in the wind. Now it's time to reach. Past the gate, down the road, into rooms that once made your throat go dry. Opportunity doesn't always knock. Sometimes it waits in a quiet hallway, watching to see if you'll step forward and turn the handle. Boldness is not a shout. It's a courteous knock delivered at the right door with something worthwhile in your hands. Think of reach as neighborly courage. You walk across the yard, you introduce yourself, you offer help, and you ask plainly for what moves the work and serves the people. Anxiety will come along for the walk, fine. Let it carry the extra nails while you bring the hammer. Begin with the simplest truth. Asking is an act of service when your request creates mutual good. Put give first, ask second, at the top of your day like a farmer's to-do. A warm note of praise to a colleague who carried weight last week. A summary of insights sent to a peer after a meeting, no strings attached. A short testimonial for a vendor who came through. These small offerings till the ground. Before long, you're not knocking on unfamiliar doors. You're visiting neighbors who have already seen you helping on the block. When you do ask clean. State your purpose, the benefit to them, the precise task, the time box, and the next step. I'm preparing a workshop that will help new managers lead one-on-ones better. Your experience could sharpen it. Would you be open to a 20-minute call next Tuesday or Thursday? If yes, I'll send 3 focus questions. Clarity is kindness. It shows respect for other people's calendars and nerves, and it calms your own. Anxiety thrives on vague requests because it can invent 1,000 imagined objections. A clean ask gives fear fewer shadows to fill. Build an ask ladder that grows with your courage. Bottom rung. Low stakes requests you can make weekly. Advice on a single point, a book recommendation, a quick review of a paragraph. Middle rungs. Introductions, short collaborations, a small pilot. Top rungs. Funding, a big stage, shared ownership. Practice each rung until your voice stops catching. Then step up. You're not leaping to the top of the silo. You're climbing with careful feet. Each yes and each graceful no toughens your hands for the next rail. When introductions make your palms sweat, carry a small, respectful script. To the connector, I admire X's work on Y because it helps Z. If you feel it's appropriate, would you be willing to introduce us for a 15-minute conversation? Here's a 1-sentence summary and 3 lines they can scan quickly. To the person you're meeting, I'm reaching out because I believe there's overlap between your mission and the problem I'm solving. Here's the benefit to you, the ask, and the shortest path to a decision. You're not begging for attention. You're offering alignment and making it easy to say yes or no without strain. If the power dynamics in the room make you feel small, anchor to service and specificity. Powerful people are not allergic to boldness. They're allergic to wasted time. Lead with a single sentence that names the problem, then a sentence that names the smallest test. Teams are struggling to give useful feedback fast. I can run a 20-minute clinic for your leads next Thursday. If it doesn't help, I'll thank you and step aside. That offer wears humility and backbone in the same jacket. It signals that you respect the stakes and are ready to earn trust with performance, not posture. Practice your doorway lines so your first words don't wobble. I'm here to help us solve X. In 10 minutes, I'll show you Y, and then we'll decide on Z. This calms a room like a host, dimming the lights and starting the film. Your chest may still flutter, good. That's voltage. Use your breath, run your countdown, and move. Remember, the spotlight in your head is brighter than the one on you. Most folks in the room are rooting for usefulness. They have carpentry to do, too. Never let a no be the end of the street. If someone declines, thank them plainly, remove pressure, and ask one learning question. I appreciate the quick reply. If you have 10 seconds, what would have made this a yes? One answer can refine your next ask a dozen times. If there's silence, respect it. The town has many doors. You don't have to bang. You can knock elsewhere with better timing and a clearer offer. Grow a small council of allies who amplify rather than echo. You want diversity of angle. Someone older with scars and steadiness. A peer who tells you the truth without embroidery. A junior voice who spots practical gaps you miss. Meet with a simple circuit, what you're trying, what you're testing next, where you're uneasy, where you could help them. Trade introductions like seeds, not debts. I thought of you when I met Sarah. Her work complements yours. Would you like an intro? That sentence builds a bridge both ways and keeps tolls off the road. Turn rooms into communities by being the first to extend dignity. Remember names and use them. Ask the question that helps the quiet person speak. Notice who carries chairs at the end and shoulder a few yourself. Efficiency impresses for a moment. Generosity endears for a season. The person who steadies the room becomes the person the room invites back. Repeat that cycle and doors stop feeling like gates. They start feeling like invitations. Make small bets often. Anxiety tries to make every ask a referendum on your worth. Refuse that vote. Treat proposals as experiments with capped downside and real learning upside. Offer a pilot instead of a pledge, a draft instead of a decree. Let me run a 3-week test with 10 participants. If the data shows improvement, we'll scale. If not, I'll share the findings so the next attempt is smarter. Experiments are kind to nerves and persuasive to skeptics. They also gather proof you can hand to the next door guard with confidence born of numbers, not noise. Turn your follow-through into your signature. Close loops fast. A same-day thank you, a summary of agreements, a reminder of dates, the draft you promised when you said you would send it. Attach a small extra, a resource, a checklist, a cleaned-up chart that doesn't cost you much but helps them a lot. People remember the feeling of working with you more than the shine on your slides. Create the feeling of reliability. It's old-fashioned, and it never goes out of style. When imposter thoughts hiss at the threshold, who are you to step in here? Answer quietly with facts. List 3 hard-won experiences, 2 skills you've practiced, and 1 value you keep under pressure. Keep that card in your pocket, literal or mental. Before you enter, touch it. This isn't bravado, it's orientation. You're not claiming to be the tallest tree in the forest. You're stating the sturdy grain of your wood. Then you walk in and do what you came for. Contribute. Use the help first, ask later, circle back, rhythm in every new circle. In your first interactions, be a source of clarity or calm. In your second, make a precise, mutually useful ask. In your third, return with results, what you tried, what you learned, how it served. That third move is the hinge most people neglect. When you circle back, you turn a hallway conversation into a working relationship. Doors that stayed polite begin to open wide. Keep a reach ledger beside your courage and storm ledgers. Log the asks you made, the doors you knocked on, the introductions you offered, the pilots you ran, the follow-ups you closed. This isn't vanity. It's visibility for your own eyes. On tired evenings, your feelings will lie and say you're treading water. Your ledger will clear its throat and read back the miles. Progress is quieter than panic. Give it a microphone. Mind your manners with time zones, calendars, and the human stomach. Don't send non-urgent requests at midnight without scheduling them for the morning. Avoid calendar collisions by offering windows, not demands. Give folks time to eat, time to think, time to breathe. Courtesy lubricates opportunity. People open rooms for those who move with respect, especially under pressure. Negotiate with fairness that signals you're here for a season, not a score. State what matters to you and invite the other side to do the same. Trade issues, not ultimatums. When you must hold a line, do it with a steady voice. I can't commit to that timeline and keep the quality I promised. Here are 2 alternatives that deliver the outcome. You're not haggling at a noisy stall. You're setting a table where both parties can work and leave with their dignity intact. In a small world, and it's smaller than you think, reputation compounds faster than any single deal. Cultivate serendipity on purpose. Put yourself where useful collisions happen, early to the meeting, occasionally at the industry breakfast, sometimes in the back row where conversations begin. Bring a question better than a pitch. What problem are you glad someone finally solved this year? Listen with your whole face. When the moment comes, connect dots aloud. You two should talk. You're solving adjacent pieces. People remember connectors with a warmth that outlasts business cards. And when you're invited into a bigger room, one that sets your pulse hammering, arrive prepared and stay human. Learn the names you can, sketch the map of the agenda, rehearse your first 20 seconds, pack your contingencies. Then, in the room, be the person who asks one honest question and offers one concrete help. Big rooms are full of folks pretending to be comfortable. Your grounded presence is a relief. It is also your quiet advantage. Today, reach a little farther than you did yesterday. Send one clean ask. Offer one sincere introduction. Propose one small, measured test. Close one loop with more care than required. That's how you expand your circle without puffing up your chest. By being consistently useful, by standing steady in your values, by letting your courage travel from your desk to the town square with grace. Tomorrow we'll gather all these threads, your action, your steadiness, your reach, and we've a durable way of living, a daily rhythm that turns fear into lasting fuel, so your courage stops being a moment and becomes your manner. What you've gathered is no pile of tricks. It's a way of walking. The scattered threads, your countdown and breath, your staircase of small rungs, your ledgers and drills, your asks and pilots, are meant to braid into a rope you can hold even with wet hands. Today is where that rope belongs. Not in a museum, in your palm. You don't need a grand finale. You need a steady start, an honest middle, and a clean close you can repeat. Courage stops being a rare visitor when you give it a daily address. Begin the day like a craftsman unlocking the shop at dawn. Quietly, on purpose. Stand up straight as if your backbone has a memory. Let one slow inhale and a longer exhale tell your nerves the lights are on and the tools are friendly. Whisper your hinge. I choose this because it serves. Name the single task that matters most and cut it down to the first honest move you can finish before the clock winks twice. Verbs only call draft, fix, ship. Count down from 5 and cross your bridge without ceremony. Action first. Confidence rides shotgun. Keep your mornings small and faithful. Take one rung on the staircase that used to scare you, not the top rung that still sparkles with drama. Read that paragraph out loud. Send that note. Make that 2-minute start. When the tingle arrives, good, treat it like kindling and lay it under today's fire. You're not chasing a feeling. You're keeping a promise. Your courage ledger gets its first check mark, not for perfection but for motion. Anxiety respects momentum the way a dog respects a fence that's always mended. As the day widens, give your attention good rails. Work in clean sprints, 25 minutes of doing, 5 of breathing, and begin each lap with a sentence you could say to a neighbor and not blush. If distraction taps your shoulder, name it, note it, and nudge yourself back like a friend guiding a friend. Avoidance will try to put a velvet rope around the hard thing and label it later. Lift the rope and walk through. You've paid today's courage tax already. Collect the dividend while it's warm. When pressure climbs, emails pile, voices crowd, outcomes loom. Run your small loops like a pilot scanning the gauges. Purpose, people, plan, pace. Purpose. Are you still serving what matters or defending your image? People. Who needs clarity or calm right now? Plan. What is the smallest useful step? Pace. Do you need to slow the exhale or push the throttle? Decide quickly, adjust calmly, and act before doubt gets its boots on. If you hit turbulence, shorten the sail. Speak to one pair of eyes, hold one point, carry one step to completion. Courage isn't louder than the storm. It's steadier than the wind. Midday is a good place for reach. Offer something without a price tag, a brief note of thanks, a clean summary, a helpful connection. Then make one clean ask, specific, kind, time-boxed. You're not knocking with your hat in your hand. You're carrying a small solution and a willingness to earn trust. If the answer is no, take the lesson, loosen your jaw, and move on. There are other doors, and you know how to knock. Your reach ledger earns its mark, and your world grows by one measured step. Keep your body in the team. Drink water before the coffee. Walk 5 minutes with your shoulders low and your eyes soft. The nervous system reads that posture like a friendly sign on a front porch. Eat as if you expect to work through the afternoon. These are not side quests. They're part of the craft. A steady body sponsors a brave voice. Even the old farmers knew it. No one argues with a full canteen and strong hands. When criticism arrives, and some will, especially as your circle widens, sift it with your sieve, source, substance, spirit. Thank briefly, target clearly, tweak one thing you can ship today. Keep the grain. Let the chaff blow down river. If the critique stings because it touches a real gap, be glad the map just gained accurate lines. Choose a skill rung and book a practice block. Your storm ledger gets a line. Took the blow, took the lesson, made the change. That is how fear learns your schedule. If you stumble and on a living road you will run your threefold rescue, respire, review, recommit. Respire to settle the thunder. Review like a coach with a pencil, not a prosecutor with a fist. Recommit to the next plain step you can finish before sundown. Shame wants a spectacle. Stewardship wants a fix. You are not auditioning for mercy. You are building a barn. Late afternoon, close loops with tidy hands. Send the thank you you promised. Deliver the draft you said you'd send. Attach a small extra that helps more than it costs, a checklist, a link, a cleaned up figure. Reliability is a quiet trumpet. It announces you better than a boast. When you finish a piece, clip the tail. Write one line at the top for tomorrow's start. You're a neighbor who leaves the gate easy to open. Give worry its appointment. 7 minutes near day's end. List the concerns that tried to squat in your workshop and convert each into an if-then. If the platform glitches, then I'll read from the outline. If I get a tough question, then I'll repeat it, breathe once, and answer with a concrete example. If the decision is delayed, then I'll propose a small pilot. Close the page. Weather may still come, but your gutters are up. As evening draws its shade, hold a brief, gentle mirror. 3 minutes will do. What went better than feared? Where did you wobble? What will you test tomorrow? Write a single sentence for each. No drama, no dirge. Progress is quieter than panic. You're giving it the microphone. Nod to yourself like a foreman counting the day's rails. Turn off the lights as a steward would. Tools put away, the next board leaning where morning hands will find it. Across the week, let this rhythm breathe. One day favors skill, drills, and rungs. Another favors reach, asks, and pilots. Another tends to repairs, feedback, fixes, respect paid where it's due. Keep a humble error budget and spend it on experiments instead of theatrics. Review your ledgers on Friday the way a shopkeeper tills the till. What moved, what learned, what carries forward. No gold stars, no red pens, just honest inventory. Confidence built on evidence doesn't blow away. And under it all, carry a handful of short lines like tools in your pocket. Phrases you can find without looking when the room tilts. Because to tie your nerves to your values. Next, to break boulders into bricks. Even if, to loosen fear's grip on outcomes. Begin before you are ready to keep the gate from rusting. Do it afraid to remember that tremble is not a stop sign. Say them under your breath the way a carpenter checks a level. Not for show, for truth. Let service be your North Star whenever the sky goes dark. The moment you aim to be useful, not impressive, the room relaxes and your hands know what to do. Fear shrinks in the presence of purpose. You aren't trying to look brave. You're trying to carry the parcel where it needs to go. If your voice shakes, the parcel still arrives. That's the work. That's the win. None of this makes you a statue who never feels a flutter. Statues don't build barns, write proposals, start conversations, or tell the truth at the right moment. You will feel the drum in your chest again. Good. That's the drum roll before courage steps on stage. You will count down again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move before the old stories start their chorus. You will breathe and name the next small verb and put your hands to today's timber. You will ask cleanly, accept no's politely, and circle back with results. You will take blows without bitterness and take lessons without bruising your own spirit. You will make your world a shade more decent by the way you carry your work. If you ever forget, and every honest worker forgets, stand where you are and speak this plain promise. I am the kind of person who acts on purpose even when afraid. Then make the smallest move that proves it true. Fill one box. Send one sentence. Place one board. Excellence is not an occasion. It's a habit of gentle corrections. Courage is not a mood. It's a manner of showing up. So here's how you end a day and start a life you'll respect. Put your tools where tomorrow's hands will find them. Write a single line for your next step. Close the shop with gratitude for the work and for the people it serves. Sleep like someone who intends to try again. Wake like someone who keeps promises. When fear knocks, treat it as a carrier of energy, not a keeper of gates. Wire that current to a light that helps someone see. Now look at the task you've been dodging, the call, the line, the door. You've got a bridge to cross and boots that know the way. Count softly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step. Let the first inch change the weather, and let the day finish what your courage began.